Okay, well, so welcome one and all to the first based GigaCast. I guess might as well just introduce ourselves. I am Willie Eathbags, one of the team members, and I'm about 43 years old. I live in the Pacific Northwest, and hoping to help some people in the cryptoverse get a little bit more stoic and be better themselves on a daily basis, and help each other to learn that nothing has to be PvP in this space, and we can actually have a meme that does something a little bit more positive than extract value from each other. That's kind of my goal here, and just to kind of keep the vibes up and form a positive community.
All right, I'm Donathan, and Willie kind of took all the good stuff, so I'll just leave it at that.
Perfect.
I was gonna say, yeah, Willie went in here with a good intro. Now I'm like, okay, all right, yeah, Jake Wild, happy to be here, happy to continue, with the 1% better, stay motivated and stuff like that. Extremely proud of the boys, especially for everything that's been happening. It's a great team here, so happy happy to be here.
For anybody listening, Jonathan enjoys long walks on the beach and light back end coding, or maybe heavy back end coding, heavy petting. Jake is our Giga dev, so he's also a dev. And Scotty B is listening in. Hopefully, he'll join us too. He's a Chad, and I honestly don't know what Scott's specialties are other than being a Chad, but he is welcome, and we love him very much.
Yeah, honestly, we need to have a learn about Scott little episode.
yeah, focus
Yeah,
on
for sure.
Scott. I like it.
Yeah, I know Scott hates X. He's a great raider. He's great on X, but unfortunately Elon has cucked him many times. So
Yeah, I think it's reverse. Like hates him, So
yeah,
maybe it's
yeah,
just
exactly.
mutual.
Yeah, at this point, definitely. So obviously we're gonna the whole point of kicking this off is so that we can start our first episode as an intro to say hello and start welcoming teams of various projects, memes and otherwise, base and otherwise, to be able to have, I don't like to say free because that kind of implies there's not value, but a free AMA space where people can come in and get together and talk about not only their project and what it means to the broader cryptoverse, but also more casual, off the cuff conversations, things that interest them, things they're passionate about outside of the crypto space, even maybe some light conspiracy theories here and there. We always enjoy those. And, obviously because we're based GigaChad, probably some philosophy, and some fitness, maybe some biochemistry and some nutrition and gardening and things like that. Not a lot of people in the crypto space probably trying to get back to nature, it seems like, but luckily we have found an interesting sort of Venn diagram overlap here with the guys where we're all pretty much on the same page with a lot of things, including nutrition and that type of stuff and gardening and whatnot. And it just kind of happened by chance, which is pretty neat. So it seems like a bit of kismet.
Yeah, no, I think maybe that'd be kind of a cool thing to start with is, you know, maybe a timeline of GigaChad and kind of how we found it, why we stuck around, etc.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, for me personally, it was very much like I always just had a deep-seated hatred for Solana, especially because of Sam Bankman-Fried and just the whole general vibe around uh, I don't know, this like ETH killer that didn't really do anything, super centralized, blah blah blah. And seemed like a lot of hype, and I was like, When GigaChad popped up, I'm like, well, I like the meme, and I think there's some value there as a community meme, especially for strength training and confidence building. But yeah, just not really the chain that I want to put my energy and money in.
Well, there
So
you go. Willie's already burning bridges with other chains on the
no,
first
there. Hey,
episode.
So all is welcome as long as they're legit. As long as they denounce Sam Bankman-Fried, they can stay.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember when you first hopped in, you were just killing it with these long, long messages. Man, dude, they were good. I remember, like, the good morning read, right?
Right.
taking a whatever, and I was like, oh wow, this guy's passionate. You could tell from the rip, getting everybody hyped, motivated, and that was a big thing. Like, especially back then when it first started, because it was a CTO. It was like just seeing everybody who did join, especially so early on, just be so bullish and start, you know, pushing it, spreading the word, spreading the positive vibes. It was definitely crazy to see. I think Jonathan was already in there, or when'd you come around?
Yeah, I came around shortly after Willie because Willie and I were in a different chat, and he kind of just called everyone in there who wasn't buying base GigaChad low T, and I was like, I can't be low T, so I threw money at it and was like, all right, now I got to work for my bags. Now I got to prove I'm high T. So I started doing, some of these. I saw those same messages you're talking about that Willie his big old manifesto in there. It was great. Yeah, it was great. So I went ahead and I did those philosopher, like jacked philosopher guys wearing the blue hats.
Yeah. The
And that was
original Greek philosopher memes, dude. Those are so good.
Yes.
yeah, so that was the first thing I did, and I was like, all right, this is kind of fun. So I started learning a little bit more of all the things, and getting a little bit more technical with my means.
Technical memes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably would have kept going, honestly, on that same vein, but I felt like, the kind of reaction from a lot of the guys in the community was kind of like, well, this is sort of aggressive against like another chain, and it's like, yeah. But at the same time, like that was kind of the whole reason why I felt like Base Giga Chad was the place for me as a meme instead of, the common sort of trope of like, oh, if Pepe can get to 1 billion, then base Pepe can get to 100 million. Like, it's like this nonsensical reason to be in a project. It's like, for me, it was like, oh, here's a project that actually, to me as a meme, means something a bit greater, and it has like a great masculine, like positive impact, and it's on a chain that I can get behind, like something that also, as an American, like, it's something. Coinbase is probably the largest, most trusted centralized exchange, in the world at this point. So I think that kind of aligning in that way makes a lot of sense too, So I probably would have continued more on the manifesto diatribes, but I think a lot of people were like, well, it might be a bit aggressive. Tone it down a little bit, sir.
No, we need to bring those back. We'll work on that.
Yeah, just tone them down a little bit. It'll be perfect.
Okay. All right. Maybe not talk about the human centipede as much. Fair.
Yeah, those were definitely great times, and it's still, it's kind of like slowed down just a little bit. I know maybe it hasn't slowed down, but I know I have, just kind of with the mini bear that kind of rolled through. I had spring come around on me as well, and as y'all were mentioning, we talk about gardening and stuff like that, farming. So
Yeah.
kind of been busy there as well, just to the listeners. But yeah, it's still just such a great time in there when you get in there, because sometimes I get in there and it's like so serious. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, this is like time to learn and listen, and then sometimes everybody's just going crazy. I don't know. It's definitely unique. It's definitely something that's different. Not many projects kind of do the whole kind of spectrum.
Yeah, there's a lot more reality, I think, especially in our Telegram chat. Like, just there's real people, and obviously they come and go as their lives, change and ebb and flow. But we've seen a lot more real conversations about real stuff. You know, instead of just the hype meme, like gifts and stickers and da 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 and in higher da da da. So it's neat to see that there are people that are sticking around for the long term, that really you actually get to know them. But yeah, like you said, I mean, the broader market has been just crap for the last, really, since probably basically December, you know, and everybody feels the effects of that, of course. You know, I mean, my own portfolio went down by, gosh, I don't even know, 75% or something, you know, which
Yep.
is my fault for holding, thinking, oh, it'll just be a dip, and then the dip, the dippity dip, the dippity dippity dip, etc. And just, you know, but that's been a really formative experience as well. And I know Donovan is also in the process of learning more about trading and technical analysis and chart patterns and things like that. And that's something that I've been putting a lot of work into. And there's some really interesting corollaries as well between Stoic philosophy and really just about anything when it comes to bettering yourself and learning a trade or what have you. But with trading, especially because of the emotional toll that it can take, when you can really kind of strengthen your mind against the negative thought processes, stuff like that, I think that you really come out on top in the broader, you know, looking at the bell curve. Having the right mindset will create not only the work ethic, but also the positive kind of self-talk that makes you successful. There was an old logger that I knew many years ago. He was a kind of a friend and teacher of my dad's, actually, and I would go down and play chess with this guy at his house occasionally. And one of the things that he said when I was a kid that really just hammered my brain, the first time he said it, I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And it sounds kind of silly, but he said, when you decide to jump the barbed wire fence, make sure you clear the top strand. And the point being, obviously, that it's kind of like a Yodaism in a way. It's like there is no try, it's do or do not. When you make the choice, you know, if you're a free solo rock climber and you have to jump to a ledge, like, you don't put 50% effort in the jump thinking, oh, I'll get it on the next one. It is, I'm making this technique or whatever, like, I'm making it happen. Like, if not, I could die, you know. So having that kind of mindset and executing trades and executing your learning process in that way is what really creates somebody that's successful and can do it for the long haul, instead of like, oh, I tried this thing, it didn't work, oh well, I guess trading isn't for me, you know. So this little mini bear, like you said, Jake, has been a good time, I think, to do a lot of learning and look at what didn't go right in the holding, the kind of hodler aspect, and look at getting a little bit more technical in trading things.
Definitely. And I think there's also, it is rough to say, but a good buddy of mine, one of my mentors in trading, he's definitely done the whole round trip thing, and he doesn't mind doing it, even though he sees a very large, 7-figure difference on his portfolio every time it goes down. And obviously, there's a lot to be said because he clearly could be making those correct decisions, but part of it is holding something that you believe in,
Yeah,
and whenever it comes back, it usually comes back 2 to 3 times higher. So when those things do work out, a lot that there's a lesson there as well. Obviously, not everything in the crypto space, meme space, more specifically, makes those returns, but I think it's about finding the right ones to believe in, and then obviously, like you were talking about, just learning as well, and figuring out good times to even dollar cost average in again as well. I think one of my biggest things that I've learned this cycle is buy, if you want to buy $100 worth, for example, break that up into 4 different weeks, $25 a week, right? Um,
right.
Accumulate slowly and safely, and watch the whole market for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, one of the things I'm definitely learning on right now is learning how to sell. I mean, buying's easy. You just go in
Yeah.
and look, you can bottom fish all day, but it's like when you get those returns, it's always like, there's a little bit more. I'll just wait.
Sure.
That's a rough lesson.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like sometimes it's greed, and sometimes it's just like, that I don't know, like that real sense of community that kind of came in, like when we were on that up and up, and everybody's all freaking out. It's like 1 billion giga, and I still believe it. It's definitely possible, but we're talking about 1 billion giga. It's like we're talking about a major difference between if we sold then and then actually went straight to 1 billion. So it's like that's that conviction we got to hold on to. Um, but yeah, definitely. Can learn how to resupport, take your profits, all that. But yeah, for sure. Everybody needs to be good at that.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that on illiquid kind of like smaller tokens, I mean, it makes a lot more sense to me to hold with conviction on something like that. It's like if you if your entire portfolio is $1,500 and you put $1,000 into something that has a $200,000 market cap, and it's like, well, it probably wasn't the smartest play for you. And then
Yeah.
if you full stack that out at a 2, 3x, whatever, even at a 60x, it doesn't matter. Like it's going to create a significant difference in the lives of other people too. And I mean, obviously, you know, this isn't, you shouldn't act specifically for other people, right? You do have to take care of yourself and your family, but making those wiser decisions, like you said, like breaking things up and DCAing into things, and the the projects that are going to see that excellent organic steady growth are going to have people, holders, that believe in actually what the project is doing, what the whole plan, the meme itself, for us in particular, the self betterment and all the little ancillary things that we're kind of building behind the scenes and things that we're planning, and for our podcast and these type of things. Like this is stuff where we really want to add value. And it's like, obviously we want all people, all holders, right, all investors, any and all. But at the same time, if the plan is like, I'm just going to come in here and buy and then full stack, like it's not the idea. Like the idea should be, I see the bigger picture, I see the ability for this to go somewhere insane and somewhere that's kind of cosmic. And we need people to have a nice balance. Put when you buy these tiny tokens like this, buy it with something that you're happy to put in there and hold on to. It's kind of like giving a gift to a friend in a way. Like, I mean, obviously this is a gift that is going to give back, but it should be something more like you're not concerned with really as much what happens to it. Like you're not depending on this to pay your rent. It should be like, hey, as a group, let's see how big we can grow this. Let's watch this grow and participate in its growth to see what we can do, and how broad we can get the reach, and how big we can grow the name, and how much notoriety we can we can claim. Like that's a pretty fun and exciting thing to be a part of. And unfortunately, a lot of teams, I think, are very much um, I don't know, they're just kind of lackluster, kind of milk toast, if you will. And we really are striving to be something different that people can really enjoy being a part of, because it means something to them other than just something funny. Like funny memes are great, like no problem with that. But I tend to feel more like um, kind of I don't know, sort of uncaringly trading sort of the funny memes versus the things that I feel have real value.
Yeah, I think just kind of piggybacking off all the different types of projects out there. I think those might be the new meta. Maybe they're just a meta for me. I'm more bullish on projects that have kind of a double entendre to it, something that is good, but stands for something, or is building something on the back end. Like we'll probably see a lot more IRL companies spawn from memes. Um, a great example would be Bored Apes, although they're definitely down compared to what their all-time high was. That was just an actual meme that turned into a multi-million dollar company. So now they're creating X, Y, and Z, and plan on doing more. And they kind of self-funded, uh, all from memes themselves. So I guess I know you're not a fan of Soul, but looking at what was it, Griffin, I believe, is it's like a meme, and they're also an AI or like some sort of launch pad, one of the two. But I just know it's sending, and it was again one of those things that kind of started as a meme, and now they're trying to take it to that next step. Um, that just inevitably comes when with the success, right?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and kudos to them for continuing to try to push that into kind of outside of the bounds of the crypto space and into more of what we think of as reality. Like that's really cool. That's something that we need more of, and more
For
people
sure.
that where the teams especially to not be extractive, because it's like all of this, you're not going to have any confidence in any project regardless. If that's all that people see, it's like, oh man, the team's dumping or da da da, or it's sniping and this and that, and trying to be extractive. Like it's just going to bum people out and burn people out on the whole space. And we want everybody to be, that's in crypto, obviously, to be bullish on crypto, period. So whether that be ETH or Base or Solana or anything, like all of the projects really need to have that same confidence that people can look to and say, okay, yeah, I don't feel like I'm going to get taken to the cleaners on this.
Yeah, I agree. There's
Yeah.
a lot of tokens and stuff that can use this as a way of self funding. One of my favorite ones who's done this self funding is have you guys heard of Libra? They self funded a bunch of
Mm,
Argentinian infrastructure.
mm,
Uh, so I think that was pretty good.
yeah, yeah. There's definitely a huge problem, and I think it's the same kind of concept that I really experienced with kind of the NFT bubble. Um, I know there was meme coins before this and stuff like that, but it seemed to me, I was more of a trader back then, that there was like this bubble, and everything would send, and then everybody kind of realized that it was all nothing, like it really was just nothing. And I think we kind of hit that same bubble inside of the meme market, and you see a lot of, I don't know if any of you guys were around during the 2021 NFT cycle, but it seemed like a lot of the same strategies were used just a round two cycle, 4 years later, 3 years later. And yeah, we just kind of hit that bubble, and the only thing that really makes it through is the people that were serious with what they were doing, right?
Yeah,
Well, you got
100%.
that, and it's I don't know. I'm gonna take it one cycle back again, but we always have these little gimmicks for each of these cycles. Like previously to the NFT, we had IPOs. I don't know if you
Yep.
guys remember
Yep.
all of those
Yeah.
IPOs.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And now they're just kind of rebranded into pre-sales at this point. But I mean, it's all coming back, and it's all going through different phases of what's hot now. Everyone's got to get in on it. I mean, the initial one was just everything blockchain. You guys remember when freaking what was it? Lipton iced tea or something announced that they were gonna put iced tea on the blockchain or something like that.
Right.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, we always have these weird things where it's just a fad and everyone tries to get in on it. So it is interesting.
Yeah, and I
No, for
think that
sure. And
I
that
mean memes will never die. Like certain ones will, of course, but the meme itself, I mean the definition of a meme, like memes will be around forever. Some of these utility things obviously won't, and like you said, it's like why does Ice T need to be on the blockchain, right?
But what's interesting is DeFi and stuff. I've been burned very hard on DeFi. I bought in like a while ago, and a lot of the DeFi plays have just gone down. I mean, sure, they're good in what they do as far as technology, but as holding the token, it's not always, fundamentals don't always override a big downward trend, unfortunately. So
Sure.
I mean, even with that, there's I guess risk or whatever to think about. But I was very I don't know what the word is. I didn't like memes. I didn't understand Dogecoin for the longest time. And it's the
Sure.
first time I've actually ever looked into memes or kind of starting to understand it, gotten into some of these communities and seeing why there is sort of value and why people would want to buy in it. It's pretty interesting. But I think a lot more people are starting to realize that.
Yeah, I don't think Murad was all wrong. Like, there's definitely some of the stuff, I mean, he obviously had his picks that he got in early, and so he pushed him really hard. But he's not wrong in that there is value in a social network, really, and that's a huge part of it. So that's why I think memes will always be there. People will always be um, sort of drawn to a particular community that they feel represents them. That's the big thing for me that really made me want to be a part of Base GigaChad was that it's like, well, this is something that I feel represents me personally. And I think some people, I think there's even some people in our community that think that maybe that's a bit conceited or egotistical in a way, but I don't think so because like our whole premise is like excellence of the self, right? And it's like if you really don't believe that you're excellent, well, why not? There's nothing wrong with that. You're not saying I'm better than other people. Like I just want to be the best self. Because if I'm the best self, then I can be the best husband, I can be the best, partner, I can be the best teammate, the best whatever. And that's the whole point. Like you have to you have to grow yourself and your mindset and to really love yourself to be able to love other people. I really truly believe that. I think there's a lot of good philosophy that points to that in psychology and even things like Buddhism and stuff. And they get a little bit different and probably more of like don't love yourself, but when you really dig down into the core of it, you kind of have to in order to to accept all aspects of your being, positive, negative, or otherwise, and understand that you can change any of it. We were having a discussion this morning actually in our Telegram about one of our members was talking about how things basically being subjected to aspects of society, and I personally disagree in a big way because you're not subjected to anything. If your mindset is that society is subjecting me to these particular like narrow alleyways that I have to operate in, that's not true. Like, yes, maybe for I don't know, broad acceptance. Like, if you want to have a bright blue mohawk, you can do that. And if other people make fun of you for that, like that's on them. Like, if that causes you to have low self worth, that's something you need to figure out. Like, why is it that these other people's opinions of me have actually been formative? Like, that's a problem with the self. You need to go, oh no, I'm happy with what I'm doing. I'm doing my thing and it's my truth. And that supersedes all others. If I know that
Well,
I'm
I kind of
operating,
disagree with that a little bit. I mean, the whole my truth thing. I think the whole thing about truth is it is objective. You can't have subjective my truth and someone else has a different truth. I mean, there is a truth. And I think one of the things that doesn't really, get as much attention is there's a sense of morality and a sense of I think, objectivity. And I know a lot of people agree or disagree with that, but and I'm talking about things beyond blue mohawk. Blue
Sure.
mohawk is not a moral, you know,
Of course.
quandary, but that same kind of idea gets expounded upon and paints a bunch of other stuff with the same. I don't.
No, I know what you mean. No, I think that people can take that to an extreme, and people can say, well, my truth is that I like to kill and eat people. It's like, well, that is definitely not acceptable. And I think that we can dig into that from an ethical perspective, that that's just simply not ever going to be okay. But I agree with you in that regard. But I think on the slightly less intense aspects, people are they're just so concerned with what other people think about them, you know. And one of my friends, acquaintances, I saw the other day posted an Instagram story, and it was probably like a poem or something from someone, and unfortunately, it's gone now, as Instagram stories just sort of evaporate after a day. But it was like the sun burns and it shines. It's not concerned with what the moon thinks of it or this or that and the other. And like the whole point is that it executes its purpose and it's unconcerned, right? And obviously, it's the sun. It doesn't think. But the point is, like, if more people could adopt that mindset, and obviously thinking about it from an objectively ethical perspective, they would be a lot happier and a lot more kind of well centered, knowing that, well, if this person's mad at me for something that I didn't do to aggress them, and you know, it's nothing. My wife actually struggles with that a ton. She's like, well, what if this person thinks this? Well, first off, why would they think that? And if they did, was that your intention? Like, no. Okay, well, that's probably on them. It's probably something that they're mad about or whatever. And being, I don't know, just being, I do believe that personal truth is sort of the kind of, for an individual, kind of has to be sort of the highest guiding principle, because otherwise you're sort of easily swayed and guided by who knows what, you know, politicians or whatever. Or, I mean, some guy that you work with that says this is right. Oh, okay. You know, you have to find what is right for you and your family and your community. I think that's probably more important than trying to please the broader masses, I guess, was my point, I suppose.
All right, Jake, why don't you tell them why farmers put glyphosate on crops and how that's their truth? It makes them it's good for their family.
Oh man, that's some horrible stuff there.
That's a good one.
I'm kidding.
I mean, that is a good example, though. You know, it's like, well, my family eats well because I make these crops and blah, blah, blah. You know, it's like, well, I'm sure there's
Yeah.
another way to do it. I'm sure that there's another way or another choice that can be made. And in anything, if people are they're afraid to lose what they have, they get used to a certain thing. You know, I've known a lot of people in the sales industry that are extremely unethical and will lie to customers constantly and tell people what they want to hear, because that's what makes them the most money and that's what makes them the most comfortable, you know. And
And
we
that's
get
where I'm
so used to
gonna.
comfort.
That's a good
All right, go
point.
on, Jake.
I was just gonna say that's a really good point because unfortunately it is basically down to like livelihood. Farmers would make significantly less if they tried other means of pest and crop control. So yeah, it's kind of where it breaks down. It's how they can survive and sometimes how they flourish as well. Um, but it goes down to that personal thing. Like a lot of people got to take care of your family first, right?
Sure.
I think it goes to, you were talking about doing things that are unethical. Um, And that's, who are you to decide what is ethical and unethical for them if it's their truth? That's what I was trying to get at.
Sure.
Is I think there is objective morality and there is objectivity. Um, so necessarily them lying and stuff, you know, so that they get a bigger commission or something, could be good for them. But at a whole, I don't think it's ethical. I don't think it's an objective good.
Yeah. I think that anyone that really thinks about it, I mean, that's the thing, is people don't want to think about the repercussions of their actions. But when you really think about those things, you go, oh, is this going to be negatively impactful on another person or many persons? You could say that, spraying a certain thing on food is probably going to be bad for these people. But instead of looking into it and doing the work, putting in the time, doing the research, really thinking about it, you're just going to say, okay, well, the Monsanto guy said it's good, so I'll just take that. It's the easy button, right? And that's kind of what we're all about, is not taking the easy button. Like, we know that it's a lot more difficult to get up and go work out when you're tired and cook these handmade meals at home versus just grabbing something at McDonald's or whatever. Like, that is easier. But I think if people held themselves to a higher standard, I think that there would be a lot more. I think that those ethics and that morality would become a lot less seemingly subjective. You know what I mean? I guess it's kind of my thought
Yeah,
process.
I got you. And I'm gonna say something. Someone else was talking in the chat um, about casual dress, and I was gonna go off on a tangent, but I didn't have the time. But this is a good point. I think some of our biggest issues is the fact that we don't necessarily, as a culture anymore, dress nice for things. It's all about comfort, and it's all about, wearing your pajamas to go shopping at Walmart or something. You know what I'm saying? Is
Sure.
we used to have some amount of pride in how we carried ourselves, and just getting ready and doing that activates something in your brain, and you take things a little bit more seriously. But when you can start pushing certain things like your appearance and just your mental state just kind of starts declining with each successive giving up, quote unquote. So I think that's something that has been an interesting uh, observation, going back and looking at how people dressed throughout the past few decades or so.
Yeah, totally.
That's it's a really good point. It's like the small subconscious things, like as a whole society, we're just getting more like lazier and stuff like that, and that will bleed into the rest of your daily habits.
Right. That's why the whole 1% better thing means something. Is you might not think it makes a difference, but all these things start adding up, and it changes your mindset, it changes your habits, it changes what you're doing, and it ends up with an entirely different person, a better person, a more successful and accomplished person.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for effort, and people are so focused, especially I think societally now, on the result. It's not the effort, and people say, oh, you want to be paid for your effort? Well, that's ridiculous. What are your results? And unfortunately, that is just the reality of a lot of things. But if people focused on effort more, I think that would be, like you said, the effort of making yourself look presentable, and the confidence that brings too, and the self improvement that's there. But even just trying hard at something. Like the other day, my wife, she loves to play the accordion. Kind of a strange hobby. Like, not a lot of people love the accordion, but she particularly likes Italian accordions, like more of a folk style diatonic accordion, small. But so she was playing the other day. She hadn't picked it up in, I don't know, 6 months, and I enjoyed so much listening to her efforts, even though she was making tons of mistakes and she was kind of out of practice. just the fact that she was actually doing something. Like for me, like I try very hard not to be a judgmental person, but just seeing someone put in the effort, seeing somebody try, I'm gonna back that person like 100% over the person that is just like you said, it's that isn't trying. They're not trying to present themselves. They have this defeatist attitude of like, oh well, Jeff Bezos already has all the money. I might as well not even try. It's just that's something that unfortunately our society has sort of devolved into. They buy into this idea of the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Well, a lot of times that's because these people that are, self-described as poor and helpless are just not willing to help themselves. They're not trying to do something, and that's kind of one of those things that with the, like you said, the subjectivity of the truth of self, if we're being really realistic and it's like, well, are you actually trying hard to find a better route for yourself and your family and your community and the world, etc.? Like, are you trying something? It's like, I'm going to buy an electric car. Okay, well, cool. What about these people that are in the mines that mine the lithium? Like, are those people having a better air quality because you're driving your EV in California? Probably not. So just being realistic and giving as much effort as you can to make quality decisions in all aspects of your life.
Yeah, that's why we have you around, Willie. Keep us straight.
I'm just going to keep on hounding Jonathan until he agrees with me. Never give up, never surrender.
Unfortunately, you can't change my truth.
That's good. That's good.
That's good.
Stick to it. I wouldn't expect to.
All right, I gotta get out of here. Scott, do you want to wrap us up?
Come on, Scotty. Maybe next time.
Yeah, I just got home, but that was well spoken, and I'm glad to be here for sure.
All right, thanks, Scott. Perfect wrap.
Perfect ending. Perfect.
Yeah. All right.
Next time we're learning more about Scott. That's for sure.
All right.
Will do.
We got to start it later so Scotty can kick it off and we can learn about his life.